stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
You are now listening to the Outsiders Podcast, the most exciting and hard-hitting show on the net. And now, bringing it hard as always on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL, here are your hosts, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
And a very happy Halloween. Welcome to the Outsiders Podcast. Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger with you on a Halloween day. We appreciate you joining us, and we're going to be previewing Chiefs and Chargers, which comes up on a Thursday.
Thursday Night Football, NFL Network. Gotta be there.
I'm sure the network is just chomping at the bit for this game. The ratings are just going to be through the roof. Chiefs,
Surprised
Chargers.
they didn't throw it out and just go with something else.
Yeah, what happened to flexing matchups?
Exactly.
I thought they could still do that. I guess that's only for Sunday night games, but I'll tell you what.
It should be on at 4 in the morning.
On Halloween, actually.
Yes.
Today. But here we go on a Halloween. Appreciate you guys joining us, and we're going to be breaking this game down with none other than ex-Chiefs, ex-Chargers tight end Mikhael Ricks. We figured, hey, if we're going to have a guest breaking down this game, might as well get a guy that's played for both teams, man. So Mikhael Ricks will be joining us here in just a little bit.
Yep, 2 birds with 1 stone. Sounds good to me.
Hey, absolutely. It helps us out. So we're going to have Mikhael Ricks joining us in just a little bit. And before that, I just kind of want to get into a little bit of this game because San Diego, the intrigue to this game maybe to me right now is San Diego's a team that's needing a win. They're 3-4. They
just keep pace with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Lost to the Browns 7-6 somehow. Luckily,
no clue how it happened, but I mean San Diego right now. Phillip Rivers, I mean he's thrown for 1,600 yards, but yet again, 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He's still looking like the Phillip Rivers of 2011 a little bit to me.
Yeah, he hasn't got over it. I mean, could this be the end of Phillip Rivers? Are we seeing a decline that's going to continue throughout the rest of his career?
It's a good question because a lot of people still want to rank Phillip Rivers in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks. You can't pull that wool over my eyes because I'm telling you this guy is not a top 5 quarterback. I don't think
he's got the talent. I think it relies mostly on the running game, and that's why he feels that he's got no running game. So he's got to fit balls into tight windows, and that's causing the interceptions past 2 years.
Let's talk about this running game for San Diego because they brought in some running backs. This is a running game that should be better. They are so beat up on the offensive line that has been the detriment because you brought in Ronnie Brown, you have Ryan Matthews back healthy, and then of course you also have a guy we're familiar with in Jackie Battle who actually leads the team in rushing touchdowns, probably because Matthews has been hurt for the first few games of the season. But they're not producing. The best viable option out of the backfield has been Ronnie Brown with 20-plus catches, as a receiver. So they've got to get the running game turned around for them to contend with Denver. They've already blown a 24-0 lead to the Broncos. I think Denver's.
They're not going to do it. This running game is nothing. Ryan Matthews is not the back they thought he was going to be. Ronnie Brown is getting washed up a little bit. I mean, he still gives you a little pass option out of the backfield. But as far as running between the tackles and being a pure running back, I don't see that. And Jackie Battle's just not a starter. He's a role player.
We learned that one in Kansas City. I'll tell you that much. But looking at this game on the Kansas City side, Chiefs are 1-6, are all but completely out of this thing. Season in the tank, people being fired. We talked about it just the other day.
Something I heard on the radio today that I loved hearing was Matt Castle saying that working through this week and through last week, preparing as he was the starter, even though Brady was going into the game as the starter for the Raiders game, he felt that allowed him to execute at a high level during that Raiders game when he came in. Who on this team is executing at a high level? When I hear Matt Castle say that, I bench him and I put in Stanzi.
Wow.
If he thinks that's a high level, I'm sorry, you're done. You're out of here.
That's appalling. And maybe just a choice of words that he used, at the time. I don't think he's trying to prop himself up, and if he is, that's completely unacceptable. And,
you move the ball a little bit. I mean, you get in field goal range. You don't throw the ball for a touchdown. You get like 3 or 4 3-and-outs. I mean, that is not executing at a high level, Matt Castle.
Yeah, we're going to see Matt Castle again out there as Brady Quinn has been ruled, that he will not play in this game due to a head injury that he suffered against the Raiders. So Kansas City going into this game with no momentum, still have not had a lead in a game this year through 7 games. We've talked about it previously. Do the Chiefs finally get a lead in this game, or is this just another typical Buffalo, Oakland, Tampa type game, Atlanta that we've seen all year, just complete blowout, never in it from the start.
The Chargers are a really bad football team, and they are going to crush the Kansas City Chiefs. We haven't been this bad. I can't even remember. Maybe 70s. I mean,
is this as bad as the Herm
era? Horrible.
Is this worse than the Herm Edwards era?
This is way worse than the Herm Edwards era.
That's unbelievable.
It is, because Herm Edwards was inept as a head coach, but suddenly I'd rather have him than Romeo. And this team, I mean, way more talented than Herm. Herm tried a rebuild project, tons of young players. This team's young, but not as young as the Herm Edwards era. And we have got lots of talent on this team. It's just the coaches are not putting the players in the right places. There's a total lackadaisical attitude around this team, and they are just not coming out and putting full 100% effort.
Well, when I think the microcosm of this whole season with regards to our coaching staff might have come out of the mouth of Romeo Cornell following the loss to the Raiders. When asked, why did Jamal Charles only get 5 carries for 4 yards? I don't know. Your head coach doesn't know the game plan, doesn't know the offensive. What are you serious? Are you kidding me?
I'm pretty sure that he just gives the offense to Brian Daboll, and that's his thing to worry about. Romeo kind of manages the practices a little bit as the head coach and mainly focuses on the defense, and he lets Brian take over the whole offense, and Brian Daboll is the worst offensive coordinator in football. I mean, if Jamal Charles, I think it relies on or lands on Jamal Charles as well. I think he needs to be up there with the coaches fighting to get back in the game and not just accepting them saying, you're only getting 5 carries, sit down.
Yeah, and there's been some flack kind of thrown the way of Jamal Charles. It seems like he gets in there, maybe he'll have a carry, and immediately is signaling that he needs to come out of the game.
Rich Gannon a few weeks ago alluding to that Jamal Charles was soft.
You know what? And I think Jamal Charles is a star in this league. I think he possesses unbelievable skill and speed. But you know what? Maybe he's certainly proven that he's not an every down back in this league. Although in 2012, who is an every down back? This is not a league that's based on one single running back. So.
Well, you've got guys like Ray Rice. I mean, I don't see them getting 5 carries, tapping their helmets, going out a lot, and he's a smaller back. I think Jamal is a little bit soft, but it's not Jamal. I think it's the entire team that's soft because of this head coach.
Yeah, we're going to find out. We're going to bring on Mikhael Ricks, going to talk about this a little bit because he played for both teams. He's still, I think a guy that probably has his finger on the pulse of both teams because, he's played for both squads. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get him on the line. Okay, and we are continuing to break down Chiefs and Chargers coming up here on Thursday Night Football. We're joined by a very special guest, Mikhael Ricks. We figured the guy played for both teams. Might as well bring him on. Michael, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well out here in Florida. How you doing?
Well, absolutely. Probably better than we are here in Kansas City, Missouri with the current state of this team. I don't know how much you followed the Chiefs this year, but, man, it is a disaster here in Kansas City.
Yeah, it's tough to see what, the Chiefs are going through, but, when you have as many injuries, as you guys have, and then, just trying to get a steady coach in there just to get a game plan together, it's always going to be tough to, try to get it.
Yeah,
get it going, but, hopefully you can win some games later on down the line.
Yeah, we'll see. This team right now is in a very sad state, and let's start with your former team, the team that you started with in this league, the San Diego Chargers. You came in '98. You played for both these teams. I mean, San Diego's coming off a loss to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, what's going on in San Diego? Because they're right now they're reeling as well.
I mean, it's when you get into the media with everybody talking about coaches and GMs and things like that, sometimes it trickles down to the players, and sometimes it's hard to focus. But I remember over the times, it's always these certain teams, no matter how well a team is playing, it's always one team that possibly has your number, and Cleveland, regardless of what their record is, teams always have San Diego's number or play them tough. But I just think it's one of those things that anybody at one time can pull some wins together, kind of like New York did last year. Finish up 9-7 and make it to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl.
And this has been, Norv Turner has been in San Diego for several years now, and Phillip Rivers has been kind of an on-again, off-again quarterback. Do you think that San Diego is right now, that Phillip Rivers is the guy that needs to be going forward for the Chargers? And do you think Norv Turner still needs to be there after this year, depending on what happens?
It's hard to say. I know him and AJ are pretty tight, but sometimes you find offensive coordinators that probably make they're a little bit better instead of offensive coordinators instead of being head coaches. And I think if Phillip gets into a new system and just learn a little bit more and do things that work well for him
Oh, we actually have a fan question here on Facebook from Kimberly Krieger that asks, what changes do you feel are necessary to turn this team around for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mean, I think it's one. I mean, it's kind of hard to say about the coaching, situation. I think that, I mean, coordinators can go both ways, and I think that a coordinator that comes in that needs to fit a style for the quarterback, because sometimes if you look at, say, what Peyton Manning's doing, he went to Denver, he brought the same system that he had success with when he was with, Indianapolis. I think that would be, probably like a great start, for Kansas City, and then just trying to get some parts, to build around that. And then, like I said again, just injuries, around the league. A lot of teams are having injuries, and it's just hard to bounce back from that. So, hopefully they can get some new coaches in there, get a quarterback that they feel comfortable with, and just stay steady with them, and just, regardless of its ups and downs, just stick with them.
Michael, dating back to your career, of course, you played for both teams. Talk about, playing in this rivalry on both sides of the coin, and kind of some of your experiences playing for San Diego and Kansas City and against each other.
I mean, I can't even sit here and lie to you. When I was playing with San Diego and came into Kansas City, I mean, it might have been like the most intimidating environment I ever stepped into in my life. Just coming in and seeing that sea of red and the way the stadium is built, Arrowhead, it just drops the crowd noise and, the volume just on top of you. So, at the time I came in is when, Marty Schottenheimer was there with Kansas City, and, they played tough. Myself playing a wide receiver had, the big, strong cornerbacks that played, man-to-man, so it was just tough for me, to get off. And, we had, some rough times there. And then, like, coming from San Diego going to Kansas City, just having that atmosphere at your back, coming in and seeing the tailgating, and then finally having those fans on your back, helping you out, rooting for you to win games. I tell people where's the best environment I've ever played football, and I always tell them Kansas City.
And of course, Kansas City will head to San Diego this Thursday night on an NFL Network game, prime time. You also, of course, played for the San Diego Chargers. People, and please correct us if we're wrong about this. People will talk a lot about San Diego. Good fans, but maybe spoiled by the fact that they're in a great city with great weather and like to spend time at the beach. Do you feel like San Diego fans need to kind of step it up a little bit with their passion?
I think it's more of it's one of those cities that if the team is doing well, you see more fans. It's kind of like what you would basically call just like the fair weather fans. It's like I remember times when we played Green Bay or any team that came from the East Coast, New York Jets, they would actually have more fans, than home fans that are there. And if unless they're the Chargers I'm talking about are doing well, the fans won't show up. And if they get to the point to where they make it to a run, for the playoff and possibly making it a little bit further, then you see the fans. But I think, like you were saying, the fans need to step up. Just come and support the team, and just try to get in an environment where it makes it tough for the visiting team to come in and try to win games.
What do you think about the Chiefs quarterback situation with Matt Castle and then going back to Brady Quinn, and now Brady Quinn's injured, and so we're going back to Matt Castle? I mean, how do you feel about them as quarterbacks?
It's tough. It goes back to the system again. With Matt Castle, he was with New England for that time. He sat back and waited his time, and he did what he needed to do in the absence of Brady. So in that aspect of him having that offense behind him, he played well. But when he went out, I know the big thing with some of the players getting on the fans about booing him or cheering him on just because he got hurt. That kind of hit me the wrong way. With that, because the guys are out there trying. But then again, Romeo, he put Brady Quinn in and said he's going to be a starting quarterback because he don't want anybody, with his, he don't want to go over his shoulder, making sure somebody's trying to take his time, and then he gets hurt, and then Castle comes back. So I can't say it's one of those things that things happen for a reason, but it's just, from a team aspect, and I'm saying this as a receiver, it's just kind of hard to get in sync when you don't have a steady quarterback, so it's the system, the injuries that they're going through, and it's just hard just to get that connection.
So how do you see this game playing out Thursday night?
I've never played. I think I played one game Thursday night, and that nature of the game. But I think San Diego will pull it out.
I'll tell you what, Michael, before we let you go, I got to ask you about a player that does not play for the Chiefs or the Chargers, but this is a former Chief and a former teammate of yours and a guy that plays your position. I got to ask you about Tony Gonzalez, the ageless wonder for the Atlanta Falcons. You were his backup. You played alongside him here in Kansas City. Talk about him and how he is able to still perform at such a high level, well into his 30s.
I think once you get into that age, it gets to a point to where you take care of your body. And from, the time I met Tony, even when I wasn't playing with the Chiefs, I know that he was a big stickler for working out, for taking care of his body, eating right, doing the right things. And I think the world of Tony, and, it's just, I'm happy for him to see the things that he's doing, still out there, like he's 25 again, after running routes and catching balls and, breaking records and things like that. But, hopefully he'll play, a little bit longer. But for what he's doing with Atlanta, again, it goes back to the system that they're putting him in a system that works best for him. And, he's doing his thing out there. And, he has, Atlanta going 7-0 right now. They're the team to look forward to being in the Super Bowl and things like that. But he's a big factor into that. So I'm proud of him.
All right, Michael, I'll tell you what, before we let you go, we're introducing a new segment today called Outside the Huddle, which means we're going to loosen things up a little bit. We talk a lot of football, talk a lot of serious talk, but on our Outside the Huddle, we're going to fire 3 quick questions at you and just kind of give us whatever comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie? Wow, I don't like the series of the Paranormal Activity.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Better time spent as a pro in Kansas City or San Diego?
Football-wise, Kansas City. Sociably, because of the weather, San Diego.
All right, who's your Super Bowl pick? We want it right now, putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. Super Bowl pick. Can I pick the teams that'll be in there?
Yes.
I think it would be Pittsburgh, and I see Pittsburgh and Atlanta.
Yeah. Hey, can't go wrong there. I'll tell you what, Michael, great insight today. Can't thank you enough for being on. Guys, that's Mikhael Ricks, ex-Chiefs and ex-Chargers player. Hey, thanks for being on today, man. Enjoy your Halloween and, try to throw those trick-or-treaters some bones this year, man. They work hard out there.
Man, I'm going to get them. I'm going to scare them so they'll never come back.
All right, we'll be watching on Thursday night, Chiefs and Chargers on the NFL Network. Michael, thanks again for joining us, and have a great night, man.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.
And thank you to Mikhael Ricks for joining us, help break down that game. I hope you enjoyed the debut of our segment, the Outside the Huddle segment, which is what we're going to be doing with a lot of guests from now on, just firing questions at him. At least Michael was ready, Noah. He fended us off pretty well.
Yeah, he did a good job. Came up with this horror movie, the Paranormal Activities.
Yeah.
Gave us a Super Bowl pick. So
hey, got it out of him, and going to be watching some horror movies myself this evening. But before that, we're also going to be debuting a new segment with us, which is Clash of the Co-Hosts. This is going to be a time where we're going to introduce a topic that we vehemently disagree on, and we're going to have it out on air for your enjoyment. That sounds wonderful? We're shaking hands right now.
Yes.
You can't see it, but we are shaking hands. And,
best of luck to you.
We have a topic today that we're going to introduce, which is the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Because Noah thinks that we should rehire Todd Haley. So
let me defend myself here before people go crazy, which they probably already are. I think Todd Haley should be the next head coach only if we can't get the Cowers, the Grudens, Marty Schottenheimer, Mike Holmgren. And I don't think we'll be able to get those guys. I don't think we can attract Don Shula. Yes, Marv Levy. I don't think we can attract those kind of head coaches. I don't think Kansas City's an attractive location. So I think the best guy out there available would be Todd Haley.
That is awful. Todd Haley is a guy that came in here. This is a guy that was throwing Tyler Palko at us for a better part of the 2011 season. Yes, let me refresh that. Tyler Palko started at quarterback. He also accused the Kansas City Chiefs of bugging his personal cell phone And basically, he was a paranoid lunatic towards his last, couple stints as the year went on in 2011. This is a guy that's already been here. There's no chance that an organization would ever bring back a coach like that, regardless of whether his firing was legitimate or not. There's no chance.
They made a huge mistake in firing Todd Haley. They should have fired Scott Pioli. I said it when it was going down. They fired the wrong guy. Todd Haley is a winner. Todd Haley took us to the playoffs. Todd Haley did mishandle the lockout. He mishandled that. I agree. I'm sure he'll agree. And we had lots of injuries that year. He had this team focused. He had this team fighting. We get rid of him. We bring in Romeo Crennel. This team has fallen completely apart. Show no heart, no fire. Nobody's yelling on the sidelines or pushing. That's good stuff. That's fight. That's passion. That's heart.
He did seem to do some things to light a little fire under guys like Derek Johnson and Dwayne Bowe, but basically it's not logical because once an organization cut ties with somebody, there's no chance of bringing a guy like that back. I'm sure him and Clark had didn't see eye to eye if they ever even communicated. But there's no way. Something like that. Now, the Chiefs probably will not be able to get a coach that's not a loser. That's another problem. So maybe if you're just saying that might as well be Todd Haley if it's going to be anybody, I could see that. But no way it happens. No way should it happen.
I don't know if it will happen, but I think it should happen. I think Todd Haley is a very good coach. I think that he'll be looking for another head coaching position when he leaves Pittsburgh. I mean, after the playoff game against Baltimore, Scott Pioli wanted to fire him then because they couldn't agree. They just kept having arguments. I say you get rid of Scott Pioli. He has done nothing for this organization since the time he got here, bringing in Matt Castle. Todd Haley brought this team together, had him as a winner, brought him to the playoffs. You keep the man that has done something good for your organization. Get rid of the one that's crap. Scott Pioli.
Hey, good stuff today on Clash of the Co-Hosts. We're going to bring that back, probably with some more vehement disagreements as the year goes on. We want to thank Mikhael Ricks, of course, our guest, for joining us today as we look forward to Chiefs and Chargers coming up here on this Thursday. It's going to be a very nice change of pace for us as we get to actually watch good teams play on Sunday instead of the Chiefs.
Hey, and if you're a fan, we asked a fan question today to Mikhael Ricks. Kimberly Krieger had a question. We asked that. We want more questions, more fan participation. We'll get your name on the air, ask your question, and you'll get it heard.
Guys, if you want to create a fan topic for our Clash of the Co-Host segment, we'd love to hear that. Or if you have a question for any of our guests, we will ask them and we will give you full credit, of course. So we appreciate that. Keep coming to the page, keep liking us, find us on all of our social networking means, and also get on iTunes because we're now available there. Download that stuff for free, son!
Subscribe!
Happy Halloween! Chiefs Chargers on Thursday. We'll see you then. NFL Network.